Hello guys, I'm back. I just want to make this really quick this time. Really quick. I just had to mention this. In the last video, I talked about this 12-inch driver, the GRS 12-inch woofer and a PA cabinet. But now I just wanted to make something quick about this driver. This is a 12-inch woofer, and I just wanted to show you guys. This is actually a woofer, and this is a vintage driver. But I actually used this to make a subwoofer years ago. I guess maybe even 20 years ago. I don't quite remember. Maybe 18 years. I think 18 years ago, I actually built a subwoofer and a cabinet almost this size using this driver and a sealed cabinet. And I sent this in, to a magazine company for them to review as a subwoofer, because back then I built a lot of home theater speakers, especially subwoofers, and I actually sent one into this online magazine company and they reviewed it. But my whole point is mentioning this is the fact that this driver right here, this thing is pretty good. I mean, this surprised me. As you can see, this looks like just an inexpensive 12-inch woofer. I mean, look how it's built. Look at the size of the magnet. Look at this. I know a lot of guys look at this and say, wow, this is a cheap looking woofer. I know this doesn't have much sound, to it. But believe it or not, I use this driver as a subwoofer in a cabinet. And this thing performed very well. Because when I got the review, they did the review, they said it had really good bass response. And it made them think twice about using a subwoofer with their hi-fi speakers. And I actually sent this to a company or a business that only do high fidelity sound, that only do stereo speakers. They don't do home theaters. They don't do subwoofers. They just review 2-channel systems or stereo systems or high fidelity systems. High fidelity is basically 2-channel sound, just a pair of speakers. But they actually, they were nice and they gave me a review on a subwoofer. And like they say, they don't use subwoofers, but after listening to this, it made them think twice about using one in their hi-fi system. So yeah, this thing actually puts out great bass. And I mean, it may not look like it, if you have never used one of these drivers before, and I forgot what manufacturer makes these drivers. If you see this, you probably know what brand it is, but I forgot what it's the company. It's a company that's been around for maybe 30 or 40 years. But again, this is a vintage driver, and this is what I say, you cannot be, this will fool you by the way it looks. Don't let it looks fool you. I guess that's how you say it. Don't let its looks fool you, because this actually surprised me myself. This put out pretty good bass. Not only that, but I actually used this amplifier right here. This is a 100-watt amplifier. I used it with this woofer, and it had enough power to handle it with no problem. And I was really surprised. And as you look at this, the magnet is very small. I believe this is like a 15-ounce magnet. It may be a 12 or 15-ounce magnet. Very small. It has a little tiny bucking magnet or that is used to shield the driver. And the frame, the stamp frame, is really thin. I mean, look at this. It rings. It's very thin. It's not solid at all. And the cone, this is actually a paper poly-coated cone. So the cone is made out of paper, but then it has a plastic coating or a poly coating over the paper. So that helps kind of give it a more smoother response with the poly coating. But when you look at it, it has the rubber surround. And this is what I mentioned. And I believe this is treated rubber surround, because if it was not treated, it would have deteriorated by now. Because again, this driver is like 20 years old at least. Maybe more, but I had this driver for about 20 years, and you can see it's still in good shape. It's not falling apart. It's not rotting. So yeah. And again, I don't know the efficiency of this driver, but since it has a thin paper cone and a foam surrounding, it's very high in sensitivity, and it is. I believe this is maybe 88 decibels. It's not 84 like this driver here. And this is what I was talking about in my last video. When you have a light cone material and a light surrounding, it makes the driver more efficient. And by making it more efficient, it takes less power for it to play loud. And like I say, these play pretty loud, and I was really surprised. And you look at the motor structure here, the spider, it's very tiny, it's very small. And you look at the overall build quality, it's not great. But again, when you listen to this driver in a cell cabinet, it sounds amazing when you look at how it looks. I mean, it really do sound amazing for its build quality, because its build quality is not really that good, but it sounds awesome. And this is what I'm talking about. You know, it depends, you know, when a manufacturer make these drivers, you know, they use special parts and stuff that you can't see. Like they use different magnets. You know, there's different types of magnets and magnet structure that they use. And even the spider, which I didn't know, this flat part right here, basically the suspension where the cone travels up and down, right? Well, that spider, a lot of manufacturers use some type of coating or epoxy mixed in with this fabric. Actually, the spider is a piece of fabric, and they coat it with an epoxy, which makes it stiff. And this is why it's stiff. And if you use a different type of coating or epoxy to create this spider, which is nothing but fabric, it will add stiffness, and it will also change the sound on how this driver sounds. And like whoever engineered this, they really did a good job as far as sound performance goes, because it sounds better than it looks. It just sounds incredible. You know, it puts out very good bass, deep bass, and it handles a lot of power. And I believe this is actually, it's not 8 ohms. Yeah, it's a 12 ohm driver, as you can see. This is a 12. So basically, this was used in a tower speaker with 2 of these drivers in a single cabinet as a floor speaker or a tower. And when you put 2 together and you run them parallel, they become 6 ohms. So yeah, this is what this was used in a floor speaker or tower speaker with 2 drivers, 2 of these. Yeah, I just couldn't imagine how they sound. I actually do have another one of these, but it's kind of damaged. But I just wanted to show you guys real quick. I'm going to may do a full review on this driver, because it sounds really good. It looks subpar, you know. Doesn't look like an expensive driver, and it's not. But it sounds really good. I mean, it sounds really good. And I can't say how it sounds compared to this driver here, because it's been years since I tested this, like maybe 20 or 18 years ago. So I'm going to test it, you know, later this week. And I'm going to do a full review and a full specs on this driver if I can. And I'm just going to go over the, you know, how it's designed like I did today. And I'm just going to talk more about the design and the function of this driver to give you a, you know, to give you guys an idea that, you know, it really doesn't matter how the driver looks. It's how it's built and the parts that they used to build it with, that it could really perform very well. And again, this is just an example of how well a driver can perform that looks like this. You know, it looks like a $15 driver or a $12 driver, but it sounds like a $40 or $50 driver. You know, and again, it's how they built it. So I'm gonna talk more about that later in the next video if you guys want me to. I may do a separate video on this driver. So I just want to make this quick. So that's about it. I'm at 8 minutes now, so I just wanted to make a quick note of this driver. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.